Rob Russell here, and this is going to be my WWE Elimination Chamber 2015 review. It was a pay-per-view that only had 2 weeks build, and to be honest, from the matches I saw, I thought the Chambers would be pretty weak, and I felt that the Owens Cena match and the Ambrose Rollins match would steal the show, and I was pretty right, to be honest. The other 2 matches on the show were Bo Dallas. Well, now I'll tell you them when we get to them. But let's just start with the pre-show. We had a matchup that was never announced, so I just predicted it then and there. Zack Ryder versus Stardust. I picked Stardust because I heard that there is a rumour going around that he will be facing Stephen Amell, Oliver Queen from Arrow, at SummerSlam this year. So I basically was just like, they kind of have to build Stardust for that. I picked Stardust, and Stardust won the matchup. It was basically a TV quality matchup. Nothing too special about it. You know, Ryder's going to go back down to the bottom of the pile, and Stardust is going to keep that gimmick, which nobody likes. And he used the move which they called the Queen's Crossbow, which is basically Crossroads. I don't really get it. I hope they're turning back to Cody soon, after the Stephen Amell thing. After that, we had the Miz TV segment with Daniel Bryan. Summer Rae introduces The Miz, and then basically is really like destroyed by The Miz. Like, the fans were booing The Miz, and Miz was like, "Don't boo Summer." I'm just like, dude, Summer's the only reason that at that point I was kind of watching. Bryan comes out, you know, talks to Miz. Bryan says his career isn't over. Bryan's written a book. Miz is basically like, everything you've done, I've done it all for you. The Mega Powers eventually come out, and by that I mean Axel Mania, Curtis Axel and Damien Sandow. Both come out, Macho Mandow, and beat down The Miz. And that was the segment. It was pointless. At least Summer Rae was in it. Summer Rae's hot. The show begins with the Elimination Chamber match for the tag team titles between 6 teams. Alright. The New Day, which was all 3 members. So it was Woods, Big E and Kofi, against Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, the Lucha Dragons, the Ascension, Los Matadors, and the Primetime Players. So here is the order of elimination. The Los Matadors were eliminated by the Ascension after the Fall of Man. The Lucha Dragons were eliminated by the Ascension after the Fall of Man. The Ascension were eliminated after... the Ascension were then eliminated thanks to a gut check from Darren Young on Victor. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro were eliminated after a schoolboy from Darren Young on Cesaro, and the Primetime Players were finally eliminated after a Trouble in Paradise from Kofi, and then the 3 members of the New Day piled on top for the win. Overall, I actually thought the match was pretty good. There's some different type of spots. I didn't really know how a tag match like this would work, but it worked quite well. I wouldn't mind seeing this again. A few spots were like a little bit iffy, like Kalisto jumping off the top of the cage didn't really work. Torito did exactly the same thing. They couldn't really use like any of the pods really, because they had to ensure, I think, that the Lexans stayed in for the later match, the Elimination Chamber match later, which was, I guess, the more important of the 2. But I gave it 3.5 stars. Obviously, my prediction was the Lucha Dragons. I didn't predict it, obviously. I didn't do a predictions video. I did predict it on my Facebook page, so it's on Ross Acethorpe. You can see it there if you want. But I did predict the Lucha Dragons, and I was wrong, so I am 1-1 on predictions. But overall, it was a very good matchup. I enjoyed it, but it is one of the weak chamber matches, because chamber matches are usually really, really great. I gave it 3.5 stars, so it's still a really great match. I don't think there is a bad chamber match. December to Dismember, never mind. Next up, you had the triple threat match for the Divas Championship as Nikki Bella took on Paige and Naomi. And everyone was banned from ringside, so there was no Tamina and there was no Brie. Okay, I think that could have made the match possibly better. The Divas, I predicted Paige and I was wrong. Nikki Bella in the end with the rack attack on Naomi for the win. I gave the match 2 stars. I really did feel that they really did try, but there were so many botches, and there was this Hurricane Rana from Naomi which wasn't safe at all, and it just didn't look right, and it looked sick and awful, and I felt sorry for Paige, and I felt like she'd actually hurt herself because she rolled out of the ring. But I did give it 2 stars. I felt like it was kind of entertaining, but it's not too watchable. I've seen worse Divas matches, and I've seen better Divas matches, but it's not recommendable. The next match up, the third match of the night, the champion versus champion match, Kevin Owens versus John Cena. This match was awesome. Basically, Kevin Owens and John Cena had about 20 minutes to freaking kill each other. They hit power move after power move after power move. Owens hit 2 pop-up power bombs. He hit a top rope fisherman's brainbuster, which was insane. I've seen it. I saw him do that to Finn Balor in NXT a few months ago. Incredible. He hit an AA on John Cena. He hit a 5-knuckle shuffle on John Cena. You don't see many people 5-knuckle shuffle John Cena. He hit so much. Cena, he got his own moves in. Cena got an AA in. He got a springboard stunner in. Owens kicked out. He got a 5-knuckle shuffle in. He got his shoulder blocks and stuff like that. He got his leg drop. It was a fantastic match, and the story was there. You saw the fight. John Cena had so much fight, but so did Kevin Owens, and the moniker is Fight Owens Fight. And after the second pop-up powerbomb, Kevin Owens pins John Cena clean to the mat. There was no DQ victory for John Cena that people, or even for Kevin Owens, that people had thought on the internet. I was correct to predict that Kevin Owens would go clean over, and this was so brilliant. I love the fact that they put Kevin Owens clean over John Cena. They have a rematch at Money in the Bank, but that's a different day, to be honest. I'm so happy that Kevin Owens won this match in great fashion. With that pop-up powerbomb, he picked him up, bang, down goes John Cena. I gave the match 4.25 stars. It was absolutely fantastic, and it could rival Kevin Owens' NXT matches. I really do think. I felt that a match with Cena would be like the black sheep in Kevin Owens' match history, because it had just been the odd one out with all like the great ones with Sami Zayn, but it really stood out, and this is one of the best. And I know they kept saying, you know, he's only been in there for 2 weeks, it's his debut. I'm like, alright, it's his debut on the main roster, but it's not his debut, he's the NXT champion. But this is one of the best main roster debuts I've ever seen, and Kevin Owens has got to go somewhere, because in the past 2 years, I think the only person to beat John Cena clean on pay-per-view is Brock Lesnar. And that is a big bit of respect to Kevin Owens. A great match, it really was, and I did mark out when Kevin Owens won. Insane match. He teased the package pile driver at one point, but then did this insane thing where he went for the package and then flipped him out and side slammed him, and it was an incredible match. I loved it. 4.25 stars. Check out Kevin Owens versus John Cena, because it was fantastic, and I honestly marked out to hell when Kevin Owens won. I got the goosebumps like I did actually when Seth Rollins won the world title at WrestleMania. That's how important I think that was to me. If it was Sami Zayn in a position, it'd be the same. If it was Balor, Itami, it'd be the same. But I think the fact that Kevin Owens, finally, an NXT guy, is getting that push, and I think he's actually the first NXT guy to defeat John Cena. Look at it like that, that's impressive in its own little way. Next up we had Bo Dallas versus Neville, and this match was above TV quality. I felt that the guys put on a pretty good show, but I've seen better. These guys have had some really good matches in NXT, a ladder match. They've had some good matches where it ended with DQs and stuff. But this one was still good. I gave it 2.5 stars. I felt like it was very easy to predict though. I predicted Neville, and Neville won in about 8 minutes. It's nice to see Bo on a pay-per-view though. Bo needs to work a little bit more, I think. We'll see where Bo Dallas gets. I don't think he'll get too far though. But that put me at 3-2 in my predictions. And on a night where, to be honest, I thought my predictions would suck. I thought I'd do awful. I actually did pretty well in the end. Fifth match of the main card, the Elimination Chamber for the Intercontinental Championship. King Barrett versus R-Truth versus Sheamus versus Mark Henry. Mark Henry was replacing Rusev because he injured his ankle. Anticlimactic as hell. Mark Henry? Like, I read on the internet that like Bray Wyatt was supposed to be replacing him, and I was just like, are you being serious? Like, Mark Henry, come on. Dolph Ziggler and Ryback. Those are the 6 men in the match. The Elimination Order, which I have big issues with, but let's just King Barrett was eliminated after a super kick from Dolph Ziggler, and then a Snake Eyes, and then a little Jimmy. I can't believe that the King of the Ring is losing so much. It doesn't do like justice to like Austin or Owen Hart or Bret Hart or Hunter Hearst Helmsley. People like that, it really doesn't do him justice. R-Truth was eliminated after a shell shock. Mark Henry was eliminated after a bro kick. Ziggler was eliminated after a bro kick. And then finally, Sheamus was eliminated after a shell shock. Yes, Ryback basically shocked. Like, I never thought Ryback would win. Basically, when Sheamus and Ryback were in the ring at the end, I predicted Sheamus, but I really wanted Ryback because I thought it was the lesser of two evils, and Sheamus doesn't need the IC belt, and Ryback needs a belt, to be honest. He hasn't won one in his 3 years there, so... It was the weaker of the two chambers. There isn't that much to talk about. Henry got broke out of his pod because Ziggler got thrown into it. That was the dumbest part, I think. Barrett throws Ziggler into Henry's pod, the Lexan falls out, and Henry doesn't know what to do. My first instinct was, it's a no disqualification match. You're not going to get disqualified. Go get him. And like, it took, Mark Henry standing like, well, what do I do? I'm like, go! It was stupid. It's probably one of the weakest chamber matches I've ever seen. I don't know, there wasn't much to it. I gave it 3 stars, but the spots weren't great, and it ended on a bit of a lackluster note. Ryback winning was cool, but it ended on a lackluster note with just a powerbomb into the chamber and then one into the ring and a shell shock. It was just like anticlimactic a bit, and it makes Sheamus look pretty weak, if I'm honest. It didn't take much in that match. But the segment with Daniel Bryan and Ryback after it was very nice, and that put my predictions at 3 apiece. So the main event was the decider, and I'm very iffy on the main event on how I've predicted it, and like if I win or not. I think I actually do win, because I got the main grasp of it, to be honest. The main event, WWE World Heavyweight Championship. A little stipulation added. If Roman Reigns gets involved, then Ambrose loses by DQ. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. I predicted Rollins, and I'll talk about the match first. Rollins and Ambrose had a great match. Like, they had a great match, like they always do. And I understand that people do feel like, you know, they're like beating a broken record with these guys. But if these guys are putting on great matches, then just leave them to it. Nobody said, oh, let's not have another Rock Austin match. Or let's not have another Brock Lesnar Kurt Angle match. Who doesn't want another Eddie Guerrero Kurt Angle or Eddie Guerrero Chris Benoit? I mean, come on. Like, I'd love those matches. But these guys really did have a great match. And I think that the outside interference actually makes Ambrose look better. I think the fact that he basically beat them all. And in the end, the referee, Ambrose goes for an elbow on the... let me just say, Rollins hit all his big moves. The powerbomb actually into the barricade and then into the corner, and then he hit him with Avada Kedavra, which is the super kick. He didn't hit him with a pedigree, he hit him with some sort of reverse DDT. No curb stomp, obviously. He didn't hit him with a Shiranui or anything like that. But the big moment for me, there was a lot of rebound lariats in this match. Jesus Christ, they hit so many clotheslines, and there was so many. Like, I feel like they overdid it at one point, to be honest. But I don't know. It looks pretty cool, but there was like 10, I think. But the ending came when Ambrose goes for a top rope elbow onto a standing Rollins. Rollins pulls the referee in the way. Ambrose hits the referee. Rollins gets up. Rollins goes for a pedigree. Ambrose counters it and then hits a Dirty Deeds. Ambrose, with the cover, the referee runs out and counts the 1, 2, 3. So Ambrose actually won the title. Like, Ambrose won the belt, and I was like, holy Christ, I didn't see that happening. And they did everything. They played his music. Like, they made you feel like Ambrose had really won the belt. Like, they played his music, they had the cinematic, and they gave him the belt, and you actually saw him in, like, say when Rollins was at Mania and you see him held the belt like that, you saw Ambrose like that with the belt. And I felt like, oh my god, they've actually given Ambrose the belt. But then the first referee gets back in the ring and says that Ambrose and Rollins is disqualified, which means that Ambrose wins by DQ. And at that point, I was very annoyed, because I love both. Like, I really didn't care who would win. Like, I do feel like I kind of wanted Ambrose to win because, like, I was behind him in this little feud. and I feel like Rollins needs to get it. You know, he's had 2 pay-per-view retentions, but none of them have been clean, and this one isn't clean either. But oh well. But after the match, Rollins and J&J and Kane are beating down Ambrose. Reigns comes out, Superman punch to Rollins, picks up the belt, throws it in the ring, spear to Kane, Superman punch to both J&J, and Reigns and Ambrose leave, and Ambrose has the belt. So Ambrose isn't the champ, but he does have the belt, and he will probably give it back tonight on Raw. But I mean, you know, that was a nice way to end it, at least, because it gave me like a little hope, like, maybe he's the champ. I'm assuming they'll probably do a ladder match at Money in the Bank, 1-on-1, Rollins and Ambrose, and Reigns will not be involved because he's in the Money in the Bank, which I have to address. Actually, I'll just finish off my review of this match. My prediction was Rollins, and my prediction was Rollins would retain. That is my prediction. I generally put Rollins will retain, and in the end, Rollins retains. So I'm actually giving myself that prediction. I'm not like trying to be like semantic or anything like that, but Rollins retained. So I won that prediction, and that puts me at 4-3 for the pay-per-view. And in the end, basically, I thought that for the overall pay-per-view, I basically thought there were 2 matches you should watch. Cena vs Owens is a bloody must-watch. If you haven't seen Kevin Owens in NXT, I have. I love NXT. It's my favourite part of wrestling. If you haven't seen Kevin Owens in NXT, and you're just like, and you're a casual WWE fan, then watch that match. Like, that match was incredible. I really do love it, and it's one of Owens' best in the company. I gave the overall pay-per-view. Basically, it surprised me because they only had 2 weeks of build, and in the end, it was very good. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I felt like it was better than Payback, it was better than Extreme Rules, it was better than Fastlane, and it was better than Royal Rumble. It's probably the second best WWE pay-per-view this year. It's not as good as either NXT event, I don't think, but it's the second best WWE pay-per-view. And I do need to, so 8 out of 10. I need to just say something about the Money in the Bank. So they've announced 2 matches. They've announced a rematch, Owens and Cena. Please, for the love of God, put Owens over again. And they've announced the 6-man Money in the Bank ladder match, but that's not all the participants. I'm assuming it'll be about 8. The participants they've mentioned are... Oh, did I mention that Cena Owens kept me on the edge of my seat? Like, it was really tense. The participants in Money in the Bank are Reigns, Orton, Kofi Kingston. I have no idea why Kofi Kingston's in it. Dolph Ziggler, Neville, and oh god, I can't remember the other one. I'm sorry, I can't remember the other one, but that's 5. But I guess thanks for watching, guys. This has been my Elimination Chamber pay-per-view review. I'll be doing a big pickups video soon because I've got like 5 PS4 games and a few other things. But thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe for more. This has been Revolver.